Jesse! Are we gonna do this or what?
Fucking get on with it!
A la verga. Pendejo.
I heard that, didn't we?
Hi there. Hello. My name is Briana Johnson. I'm from Mexico, and a friend of mine called Jesse asked me to help him do this video by telling my story and helping to make HOCD or OCD awareness, right? First of all, I want to say sorry because English is not my mother language, so I'm gonna try to speak as fluent as I can. I'm from Mexico, so I speak Spanish. That's my mother language. So, to be honest, OCD has been called the doubting question disease because you question everything. And the reason I had postponed this video, because Jesse and I spoke about this video a long time ago, was precisely because I was questioning myself, like, Briana, do you really have OCD? Are you going to mislead people with this video? But what if I do have OCD and I can help people, right? So that question had switched my views about posting the video. But to be honest, I have been diagnosed twice by psychiatrists with HOCD and many more times with more psychologists. So I think I have OCD, right? Anyway, I don't think I'm gonna mislead anyone. I want to put more awareness in OCD because at least here in Mexico, nobody knows what is OCD. Everybody has the stereotypical view of OCD, you know, the one that people clean over and over again, and nobody knows about pure O, for example, which is pure obsession, right? So here we go. This is my story. I am not an emotional person, but I might get a little bit sad and a little bit happy with this story. Hope you can take what works for you and apply it in your life. So, to be honest, OCD symptoms started when I was very young, but nobody knew it could have been OCD. Like, my mom didn't know, sorry. I didn't know, nobody knew what was happening to me. So, as far as I recall, my first symptoms of OCD were religious OCD themes. Why? Because I was in a Catholic school. I really believed in God, and I had a small compulsion, which was praying, but a lot. And I prayed around 1 or 2 hours per day. And I was praying, for example, praying for the plants. And then I stood up and was like, oh, I forgot to pray for the animals. And if something bad happens to them, it's my fault. So I had to start over and pray for animals, and then for plants, and then for snails, and for rocks, and for humans. And yeah, it was it was very weird. But eventually it switched still to religious OCD. But I had another compulsion when I grew up, around the age of 9 to 24. Now that I am pretty aware what is OCD, I can tell that I definitely had OCD. And my compulsion was doing the sign of the cross whenever I met someone that was sad or poor, or I don't know, if I felt that the person needed help in any way, emotional, spiritual, money, whatever, I had to do the sign of the cross because I thought that I was helping that person, and if I didn't, then something bad would have happened to that person. So this compulsion made me, go, like, I saw someone in the street, I didn't do the sign of the cross, I went to my house, and all day I was asking myself, what if that person dies? What if that person has a problem? It's my fault. So I had to turn back hope that I met the person again and do the sign of the cross. So that continued like 10 years. But I didn't find that distressing because I always did the compulsion. I always did this, right? Only when I was trying to not do it, I felt the anxiety, like this is gonna be my fault. Eventually, I lost all my faith, and because of other reasons, I don't believe in God anymore. But even when I didn't believe in God, I needed to do the sign of the cross, you know. And one time, I was consciously aware that I was doing the sign of the cross, and I was like, I'm not gonna do this. This is not what I think. I don't believe in God. Why am I doing this? So I just stopped doing it. I had anxiety, of course. I have dreams, nightmares about the subject, but I stopped doing that. And, well, I have read a lot, and OCD is also a genetic disorder, but the subject or the theme of OCD, it's what makes us unique, right? For example, my grandma has OCD. My grandma was afraid of the ocean. And in Mexico, like, this is called Monterrey, where I'm right now, but I'm from Ensenada, and over there we live in front of the beach. So my grandma is afraid, or was afraid of the beach, but she lived in front of one. So every time she heard an ocean wave smash with the rocks, she instantly woke up and had to check the window because she was afraid that a wave could, I don't know, destroy the house. So she did it again and again and again every day until she was so angry at herself that she decided to go into the water every day till she stopped being afraid. And she has stopped being afraid of the ocean. So in a way, she did an exposition therapy without knowing. And my mom hasn't been diagnosed with OCD, but I'm sure she has. She checks on my dad with cameras. And I'm not talking about that toxic relationship. Hear me out. I also have CPTSD. And it's because of something that happened to my dad, which I'm gonna share with you guys in this video. So point is that she has cameras and everything to check if he needs something because he can die in any moment. So her paranoia, now it's a compulsion. She needs to check like every 5 minutes if my dad is okay, right? And long story short, I mean, I cannot make this story that short, but when, like, I had to give you the context of my life so you can understand why I have HOCD. So first of all, I consider myself a lesbian, and I have always been a lesbian as far as I know, but my HOCD tells me I'm straight. Yes. Probably you will wonder, well, that's why are you afraid of being straight, right? So I do not know. In my mind, it's like, you know, most of the men, at least here in Mexico, are pretty misogynist, and it's very dangerous to be with guys here. So I don't know. I mean, I don't want to do that, you know? It's weird. But my mind is always questioning, like, what if you're straight? What if you have a lot of trauma and you're not a lesbian? What if you haven't had orgasms with women or thinking of women because you're not gay? And the thing with me is that I have been in treatment of OCD, but unfortunately, I'm way better, way better. Like, my OCD is only 1 or 2 days per month, but the only thing that doesn't match with what I have learned about OCD is that I need the OCD thoughts to orgasm. Like, my fantasies are with men. Even though I don't like them, I need to think about them so I can orgasm. My dreams are with men. If I dream of women, I have crushes, like I love them in my dreams, but I don't have any orgasms. If I try to watch women porn or try to fantasize about women, I do not orgasm. I don't feel anything. But if I think of men, if I think of a normal, average, straight sex, I want orgasm. But if I dream or fantasize about something very, very humiliating, horrible, porn stuff, like gang rape is nothing. It's something horrible. My mind orgasms. So I'm going to get to this point eventually. Again, hear me out. This is the context. So when I was a girl, around, I don't know, 3 years old, something, I fell in love with a girl. Like, I had a crush on a kindergarten girl, and I didn't know what was gay or lesbian or bisexual or straight. I didn't know anything. I was in kindergarten. But I couldn't stop looking at her. I admired her a lot, and she was super pretty for me. And that happened again in elementary school and in junior high school. But in elementary, I remember that I also liked one guy. And the guy wanted to date me, and I said no. I don't remember why I said no, but I said no. So when I turned 8 years old, my dad was my best friend. Like, my best friend. And here in Mexico in the 90s, I'm from Ensenada and Tijuana. Maybe that sounds familiar to you. If it doesn't, well, there is a lot of cartels, drug cartels in Mexico, and my dad was in charge of destroying one of the biggest cartels in Mexico. So he was working in something called PGR, and eventually the narcos, the leaders of the cartel, followed him and shot him in the head twice. And fortunately, he survived, but he has brain injury. So that happened when I had 8 years old. But the moment that happened in my house. So when I saw all that situation, I didn't react at all. I didn't feel any sadness, any anger, like nothing. My mind blocked the entire thing. And from that point on, life got very complicated. And I remember in junior high school, a girl had a crush on me, and she gave me all the love that my mom couldn't give me because she was obviously busy taking care of my dad. I don't know how to say, like, I'm the only child, and I don't have cousins or uncles or aunts. That's very weird here in Mexico, but I don't have anyone. It's just me, my mom, my dad, and my grandma. So, well, that girl had a crush on me, and I felt very close to her. And with her, I started liking her. Like, I got really, really jealous if she was with somebody else. I wanted to kiss her. She didn't wanna. And I started fantasizing with women. But I never touched myself. I was just fantasizing in my mind. And in my mind, I was fantasizing with men and women, but I was the guy, right? And I'm not trans or anything like that. I don't believe in that thing. Like, I'm talking about sex, not gender. Anyway, and I had the same fantasy when I was a guy and I was having sex with a girl. And that was the way I could orgasm. Anyway, later on with my life, my mom discovered I was gay. So she did everything in her power to stop me from being gay. So she, every day of my life, from, I don't know, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18, she put audios trying to program my mind into I was straight. She took me to laboratory tests to check my estrogen and testosterone to prove me that I was straight. She traumatized me a lot. Honestly, I have more traumas by the side of my mom than what happened to my dad. My point in here is that she traumatized me so much. Like, I had a GPS, like my mom was following me all the time. She hired professionals to take photos if I was dating a girl. She tried to put my ex-girlfriend into jail I mean, she did actually. So I had a lot of trauma with her. So my subconscious mind learned that I shouldn't be with women. Although I did want to, and I never paid her attention to that. But in a way, I think my mind tried or learned how, like, I couldn't have orgasms thinking about women. That was bad. I don't know what my mind learned. I'm still learning. And eventually, she kicked me out of the house, and I started living, right? So I came here to the city, to Montreal, to study, and I didn't have HOCD yet. I have religious OCD. And eventually, life has, I mean, many years after that, I met a lot of women. I never orgasmed with a women, but then again, I didn't know how to orgasm with myself either. And I encountered a woman that I wanted to marry. Like, it was the only woman I was sure that I wanted to marry. And the relationship was so perfect that all my traumas started coming again. And I was very sad because one day we tried a lot of weed and coke. I think in the UK it's called speed. I'm not sure. Cocaine. And I did all those drugs because I wanted to orgasm. So I thought that if I did a lot of drugs, it will have been easier for me to orgasm, right? But something weird happened, and of all the shit I put into my brain that day, I started having flashbacks on the day that the thing of my dad happened. And then I saw the scene over again where he was shot, and then I felt like in my whole body sadness, like the sadness I didn't feel that day, but all my body was pure sadness. And then I saw the image again, and now I felt fear, then anger, like every emotion was releasing in my body. Like I was really tripping, but some idea came into my mind, and it was so, honestly, it looks like the truth. It might be the truth, it might not, but I understood that everything that reminded me of my dad was forbidden in my mind. I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, box, wrestling, you name it, box, whatever. I do everything except judo. And my dad was a black belt in judo. I can drink vodka, tequila, obviously, mezcal, beer, whatever, except whiskey. I don't like whiskey. My dad liked whiskey. I can eat everything except shrimp. My dad liked shrimp. So I started noticing that everything that reminded me unconsciously of my dad was out of my life. And then the thought of, what if I like men, popped into my mind, and it hasn't lived ever since. So that day, I had to go to the psychiatrist because I still was tripping, and they gave me some medication. And after that, everything was different. I saw men on the TV, and I was like, I think I like it. I think I'm feeling something, like groinal response. I think I don't like my girlfriend. I cannot orgasm. So I was, every minute of my life, I was questioning everything. I was walking on the street, and I was thinking, do I like the woman? Is this love? Can this feeling be desire? What is desire? What is love? What is attraction? What's the difference between attraction and admiration? Is this guy handsome? Does that mean I like him? How can I like someone if I don't know him? So everything was over analyzed, right? And I swear that was hell for me. I remember going into the shower trying to kill myself and crying because I wanted to marry that woman, but in my heart and my intuition told me that I wasn't lesbian. Now I know that OCD exists. That could have changed everything. Eventually, my ex-girlfriend and I split up, and I do not know nothing about her anymore. The last thing I knew is that she went to Alaska, and she doesn't have social media, email, nothing. She closed her business. Like, there's no way I can contact her and tell her I had OCD. Anyway, I dreamed of her every day for like 3 years, and in my dreams I was trying to explain to her that I had OCD. So after that experience, I went to a lot of psychiatrists, and they told me that I had CPTSD, of course. I mean, but that I also had probably an obsession. So nobody mentioned OCD, but they gave me medication for OCD because I looked for it in the internet. Eventually, I got so obsessed, because really I was gonna kill myself, that I tried to learn everything that I could about OCD. I have read a lot of books that probably will help on your journey. First one is Brain Lock. Second is Overcoming Intrusive Thoughts. Then you have The Imp of the Mind. Like, there's a lot of information in books, in podcasts. Podcasts, I can recommend the OCD stories. I can recommend one that is called Pure O. And I have a lot of there. Maybe I will write to Jess about some pages and tips that can help for you. And there's another one that is called a book, Overcoming HOCD. And then you have another one that is Personal Recovery of Jonathan Grayson of OCD. Like, we have a lot of books on the subject. And honestly, I have learned a lot on books and podcasts, more than in therapy, because ERP therapy is not in Mexico, okay? Not because it doesn't work, it's because I cannot have access to it. I found one ERP therapist in Mexico. She hasn't, oh my God, English, sorry. Well, I was her first client. So, I mean, I did improve a lot. But eventually I was stuck, and I was very, very desperate in how to recover, that I started to learn what my body liked. And unfortunately, at the beginning, sorry, that's my cat. And at the beginning, my sexual thoughts were about having sex with men. And that was enough to get me aroused and having orgasm. So eventually I was like, okay, I need to experiment this. I need to learn this question. And it took me 2 years to experiment, because I didn't wanna, I cried. You don't know, it was hell for me. I tried to kill myself. Even I tried to fuck with a guy that I found him very handsome. And I told him what I was experiencing. And then the first night I tried to kiss him, and I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, no, I cannot do this. And then that night he left. We didn't do anything, and I dreamt of him having sex with me, and I orgasmed. Oh my God. So I called him again, tried to have sex with him. I couldn't. And the next, I mean, I poor guy. I talked to him 3 times, and the 3rd time I was decided, like, I am gonna fuck this guy. Not because of pleasure, but because I want to know my sexuality, and OCD is torturing me. Like, I need to do this. And I remember the guy was arriving to my house, and I puked like 2 times because I didn't want to do that. And eventually I had sex with him. And I remember I told him, like, this feels exactly something called strap-on that lesbians use. And I was like, this is super boring. And then I was like, okay, maybe I can fuck you. Like, I wear the strap-on, I can fuck you. Maybe we can experiment something. And I did it, and I was very, very, very boring. I'm very bored. Eventually, we finished. Like, I didn't have any orgasms, of course, but I was just like, get out of my house. So he left. And that day I wanted to kill myself. Like, I really called someone and told him I needed help because I was gonna kill myself, because that experience served me of nothing. I did not learn anything of that experience. Maybe I learned that my thoughts probably are not real. Well, that's a huge lesson. But I didn't feel disgusted. I didn't feel pleasure. I felt nothing. So my question was still in my mind. Do I like men? Maybe I should do it again. Maybe I wasn't paying attention. Maybe it was another guy. Maybe. What if? And I cried. But after that moment, I've never ever dreamed that I was having sex with a guy. But things got worse. because now the thought of having sex with a guy didn't work for me to orgasm. The thoughts were even scarier. It was about blowjobs, and for me, that's the most disgusting thing like a woman can do. It's humiliating, and that's the only fantasy that works till this day, so I can orgasm. And that's the thing I dream. Sometimes I dream I'm the guy. Sometimes I dream I'm the woman. Sorry. Most of the time I'm the woman, and in fantasies I had to imagine I'm the woman so I can orgasm. So the thing with OCD is that you will never know the answer. And the faster you accept this, the faster your OCD recovery will be. I will never know if I am straight, if I am gay, if I am bisexual. I won't know. At least not by thinking. Maybe I had to experience, which I don't wanna. But I also have a lot of trauma, you know? So the blowjobs that my mind think about are not healthy. I'm not talking about a loving couple that give each other a blowjob. No. I'm talking about gang rape where they face fuck a woman and they come inside her throat while she's laying almost dead. Like, it's horrible. It's horrible. And I made a promise to myself, like, okay, if I am straight, this is not the sexual relationship that I want with guys. What the fuck? This is unhealthy. So what I need to learn is how to orgasm without thoughts. No men, no women, no nothing. Like, why I need to learn how to control my body without any thoughts. I need to be mindful and aware of the moment. That way, I will learn how to orgasm without any thoughts. So my advice to you is the best thing you can do for your OCD is mindfulness. At the beginning, probably you will say, oh no, those hippies, like mindfulness doesn't work. But it does, trust me. You have to do it every day, at least 10 minutes a day, for 2 or 3 months. And at the beginning you're gonna be like, oh fuck this shit, I need medication, and maybe you need medication, we all need for a while, but keep doing it. It's like the gym, you don't see instant results, so you have to do it over and over and over till you learn how to detach from the thoughts. And then whenever you have an OCD thought, you're gonna be like, oh, a thought, and that's it. You're not going to engage in the thought. So first you'll need to learn how to disconnect or observe your thoughts. That's called mindfulness. I have an app, that is called Headspace. I think you can download it. It costs 99 pesos. I don't know how much euros, but in American dollars that would be like $5. Okay, so that helped me a lot. And to be honest, I don't have any intrusive thoughts anymore. Like, well, I do, but they're pretty easy for me to disengage with. And the problem is that 1 or 2 days of the month I do not detach the thoughts, and I start ruminating, sorry. Well, thinking over and over and over the solution to the problem, and that can last 10 hours, 11 hours, like I stop sleeping, like you can do a lot of things. And I have thought of everything, I swear, of everything. And there's another app called No OCD, but that's for English speakers only. So even if you speak English and you're in a country where English is not spoken, you cannot apply to it. But for the Spanish speakers, there is a guy that is called Alejandro Ibarra, and he's from Spain. The sessions he has are pretty expensive for the rest of the world that is not in Europe, but it's worth it. Like, that guy works with Chrissy Hodges, and Jonathan Grayson. Like, he really knows a lot about OCD. You can follow him on Instagram and Facebook. You will learn a lot, and maybe you can apply a session or 2 with him. And there's a lot of OCD therapists online, to be honest. Some are very expensive, but you can keep on looking. There's another one, an American girl, that is called OCD Excellence in Instagram. And there's obviously Chrissy Hodge, my favorite. There's also Jesse. I mean, he's not a therapist as far as I know, but he helps people. He has a a Facebook group called HOCD, like Jessie, and support group. And I have learned a lot in that group. Some of the people that go try to look for certainty because they're new in OCD, but most of them put advices, techniques, or something that works for us, right? I have met 2 other ladies that have the same problem with me and that they can only orgasm with the HOCD thoughts. If it weren't because of the group, I honestly will feel that I'm straight and that I'm lying. Sometimes I do. Today was a bad day. Today I think I'm straight. But then I remember that lady of that group. She's called Stephanie. She's straight, but she can only orgasm with lesbian porn, and she can only orgasm with lesbian fantasies. So she's my polar opposite. We always joke that I want her to have my straight fantasies, and she can give me her lesbian fantasies. But anyway, remember, it gets better, but you have to put the work. So my first advice would be go and have, in Spanish is terapia de exposición y respuesta, which is prevention and response exposition therapy. ERP, okay, it's ERP. Exposition, response, prevention. Why? Because sometimes we can create things that trigger us and try to learn how to react to anything else. I have done that, but we get stuck, or we might get worse because we're not doing it the proper way. So we need to find a professional that knows how to manage ERP. If a professional tells me to think the thoughts, I will orgasm with them. So I cannot do that therapy. I can do other things. My exposition therapy could be accepting a date with a guy and having the thoughts and still be there. And my therapy is gonna be different. And my suggestion is, oh my god, I think I'm gonna move a book. I hope my cell phone doesn't fall. But I suggest you to have a book on your advances, like your progress. Sorry, because this is I know you had drawings, but these are about my podcast and therapy and sessions. For example, here, I don't think the camera is gonna show it properly, but this is from Brain Lock: relabel, reattribute the thought, refocus, and revalue, right? So I also tried to do psychoanalysis. It's horrible. Don't do it if you have OCD. My therapist was thinking that I have a repression. That's why I fucked the guy. And I did not have a repression. Or maybe I did. I still do not know. But I didn't get any better with that. So you had to find a CBT therapist that does ERP therapy. And remember, all of our cases are unique. So in my case, I wrote the fantasy and tried to destroy every component, right? Like, why was the women or me humiliated? Why is the women not awake but not asleep? And why, I try to figure out the symbolism of a fantasy, not the literal fantasy, and I discovered a lot. I did that last week, and I cried because I discovered a lot. I discovered that since my dad has brain injury and cannot move, cannot talk, I sexualized the emotion. Sorry, the video got cut by the memory of the phone. But my point is, I discovered some symbolism of trauma in the fantasies of OCD. And to be honest, I will suggest you that don't dig into the whys or what is happening. Yes, you might discover a lot, and probably you can heal in a way, but at the same time, that's feeding your OCD. You first, before doing that, you had to be sure that you know that you have OCD, and you had to do the every time you have an intrusive thought, you had to label it oh, this is OCD. Understand that that's how your brain works because it has a chemical imbalance or a way of thinking, a learned way of thinking that is kind of wrong. And then just mindfully be aware of what is happening. And if you have any urges, which my urges feel very sexual, like the tip, like when you feel very, very horny and you're at the tip to orgasm, that's my urges. My urges feel like I need to orgasm right now. And then I have the compulsion to do things like horrible things, trust me. But I don't because I don't wanna. I ground myself by saying, okay, maybe I will, but after I feel more stable and more in peace, I'm gonna choose if this is convenient for me. And it never is. Like when the urge passes, I obviously don't want to do anything. So, and now I also suggest you to go to a CBT therapist that knows what is OCD, because my main therapist, she doesn't believe I have OCD, but she do believes that I have an obsessive thinking because of borderline personality disorder, although I don't have any symptoms of borderline except the OCD, because sometimes these two disorders get along very well. And she doesn't treat me for that. She treats me for PTSD, which I really have. But anyway, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that really knows how to treat OCD. Try to find a good therapist. And I think a way of knowing if it's OCD or not, it's because it's the same subject over and over with the years. Because mine changed from religious OCD to HOCD and then pedophilia OCD, which I had around a week. But then it switched back to HOCD because in my mind, I don't have any conflicts, or I don't have, like, thinking about children or taking care of children is not my priority. I don't even want children in my life. So it's like, it's not important to me. So that theme or subject was very easy to switch, but it's very important to me. My sexuality is very important to me. So that's the theme that OCD is gonna be, it's gonna be stuck for a while. And you have to learn how to live with it. Some days are gonna be rough, and sometimes sex is gonna be an issue. I mean, in my case, it's an issue because I know that if I have sex, I probably will have OCD for about a week. And I will be thinking like, I don't enjoy this. I'm not a lesbian anymore. I might be straight. Why do I need these fantasies to orgasm? Why, what if? And sometimes, I mean, I avoided sex for 2 years, but I don't want to avoid them anymore. I want sex in my life. So might as well learn how to have sex with the thoughts, which I think could be also an exposition therapy.
Exposure
in a way
therapy.
for me. And we need to learn how to do this, okay? There's a lot of books out there, podcasts, therapists, support groups, and honestly, I have read the books that I already read around 2 or 3 times more, because sometimes I gather more information that I didn't understood or didn't care in the first time that I read the book. So, well, this is my story, and thank you for listening to me. I spoke a lot. Thank you, Jessie. Thank you for all, and have a great day. Take care. Bye.